It's a humid morning on Anindiliaqua country, Groote Island. And the Wuramapa family is gathering for an important discussion.
Hi, Sylvia.
Good morning. Welcome. Today is a special day for me. Today I wanted to hear the stories about these photos that I saw on ABC.
It's been 6 months since Sylvia's family saw something that shocked them.
The discovery of a trove of black and white photographs has sparked an international mystery involving a little-known settlement of Aboriginal Australians in Asia.
These photographs show Aboriginal people from Australia posing in a studio in the Indonesian city of Makassar in 1873. The photos were discovered in a museum collection in Italy. They were the first visual proof that First Nations people travelled to Indonesia with visiting fishermen. And they corroborated first-hand accounts of Aboriginal people living in Southeast Asia decades before British settlement of Australia's northern coast. Sylvia's cousin Amos was convinced the man in the photos was their great-grandfather.
Because the resembling of this young fella, it goes to my father when he was so young.
I'd forgotten all about that story until ABC showed some photos, and then my cousin Amos said, guess what? I go, you see them photos? He said, that's our family, that's Jurukaya. I just couldn't stop smiling like, really? I was thinking, Amos, tell me more stories. And he goes, he got taken from Makmanja on Jarakpa country.
This old fella used to tell story to my grandfather. My grandfather used to tell my dad's story, and my dad told the story.
Sylvia and Amos grew up hearing stories about their great-grandfather Jirakai. According to family legend, the young man had sailed away with visiting Indonesian fishermen, only to reappear years later with 2 gold teeth and stories of a place and a culture far away.
And they used to always talk about Jirakai and other men from Amakaluapa who got on a boat and travelled to Makassar. They stayed for 6 years. Some people came back, some people didn't come back. But these stories, for the Wuramapa tribe, it's been passed on from one generation to another. There's something really exciting about the story because it's my family that's gone across to another country. They lived overseas. They travelled overseas before the non-Indigenous people came to us.
The family resemblance, the scarification and the oral history has them convinced it is Jirakai in the photos.
Amos, in this photo, your ancestor has scars on his skin. What are they for?
As representing as in olden days, old people used to put a scar on there. It's a marking of because becoming an elder or something like that.
Only men did that?
Only men did that.
No women?
No women.
And it's led to a tantalising thought. Jirakai is supposed to have had a wife and children during his time in Indonesia. Could the Wuramapa family have relatives overseas who they've never met?
We'll have to investigate.
Yes, true. We have to go there.
Keep going on this journey until we find closure. I'm very overwhelmed at the moment, very excited that we might have family in Makassar. Yeah, Sulawesi. Sulawesi? Yeah, I'm very happy.
Groote Island is not easy to get around.
Oh, I'm going to have a second ride in the helicopter.
Is it?
The only way to reach some remote beaches is by air.
Okay.
Amos Wuramapa is heading to the beach where his great-grandfather Jirakai is believed to have left from more than 150 years ago. Anthropologist Hugh Bland has come along to record the location.
The main job is protecting sacred sites, but in this particular instance we're recording oral history, trying to record the information that's been handed down from generation to generation.
It was these sheltered bays that foreign fishing crews were visiting for many centuries before the British arrived.
Oh, it's this area, eh?
Makmanja. Wow.
Beautiful country.
Yes, beautiful country. Here we are. It's a special place for me today that I came. This is where my great-grandfather got picked up. It makes me feel so happy that I'm in his footsteps, sorry. Yeah.
Amos's ancestors lived on this archipelago for thousands of years, moving around with the seasons, recording their lives and creation stories in artwork. Remarkably, Groot Island wasn't colonised until the 1920s, when Anglican missionaries arrived. Hundreds of children, many part of the stolen generations, were brought here.
So they made a missionary at a place called Yatikpa, which is Emerald River. These kids were brought over and were taken off their parents, and they were put into the missionary and were taught about God, Jesus, Christian life. In doing that, they lost their culture, they lost their family.
But it wasn't the first time the Anandiliakwa people had seen a wave of foreigners arrive. Long before the missionaries came with their Bibles and prayers, there were the Macassans.
The Wandilyaka people are more closely connected to the Macassans than anyone else because our ancestors had early contact with them.
For hundreds of years, the Macassans visited Australia for months at a time, setting up big, bustling beach camps. They were chasing trepang, or sea cucumber, which was, and still is, highly sought after in China as an aphrodisiac. The rows of stone fireplaces are still visible on northern beaches.
At the height of the industry, there was said to have been up to 1,000 people from Makassar down here engaged in trepang. All across the top of Australia, it would have been a very big industry at that time.
The foreign fishermen introduced new tools and materials and new words to describe them. And they brought ideas and religious symbols that were incorporated into art and ceremony.
The Macassans would sail in when the wind blew, and they would negotiate and talk to the tribal men. That was the first trade that they ever done, the first contact. When they first saw them, they thought, who are these people? What do they want? But then we had some strong traditional men who'd just stand on the beach and face these Macassans and say, what do you want? Our people gave them pearl, gave them permission to get pearls, and gave them permission to get trepang. In return, they would give them cloth, which is another Macassan word, which is tambala. They would give them rice, which is bricha. They would give them knives, hooks. There's even burial grounds where the Macassans were buried as well. They fell in love with the local women as well. I don't know that story, but I just heard rumours.
There was also trouble at times, especially when alcohol was introduced for the first time.
It caused so many fighting and spearings, and the women and the children would run into the bush to hide. They were very afraid of how the alcohol had affected them.